Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, morning. I get to say good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another prom. I know we're catching up. I was miscounting or like counting something to something else. And so we are, this is the second video technically of our um, 30 days alive that we're like catching up on. And hold on. Let's see. I want to share this real quick because I usually don't go live in the morning. So we're catching up, right? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, Happy video two of the topic of doing the 30 lives in 30 days. And so technically the one from yesterday was for like 11:1. This is for 11:2. I will do another one this afternoon for 11:3, and then what we call it. So you saw me twice yesterday because the first one was me doing November happenings, and that happens on the first like business day of the month, and so that technically doesn't count because I have been doing that. Um, happy. I think this is like a Tuesday, but day two of the Hi, hey Kelly. Happy Tuesday. Happy election day. We'll talk about that later, but um, welcome. My name is Sequoia Ashe Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of Ashe Wellness, and what I do is help out stressed out women who are attempting to find balance to establish and maintain healing habits so that they can be healthy and happy. How we do that is that we distress the mess by testing and not guessing. I'm winded because I just came back. So, yes, we are coming to do this second video. If you're watching live, say hey to me. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. And if you are think that this information is important and resonates with you, then please definitely hit that share button and share with your network of friends and family. Remember, a part of this challenge, you want to be vocal. If you're watching this and you're looking at me, do not keep scrolling by or just looking at it without clicking on it. You want to click on it. You want to engage because people are going to win prizes throughout this month. Remember, this month is Nurturing November. And so you're gonna say hey. You should want to say hey. You should want to engage and interact with me. Leave your comments, even if you're watching a replay. Go through and give your feedback and things of that nature on the topic. What are your thoughts about these things? So each day that we're doing are like prompts and topics, and so you're able to give your feedback. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Was it aha for you? Was it something that was like revealing to you? We want to see the engagement because we're going to be pulling people's names from different lives. So it could be live number 4, it could be live number 2, it could be live number 26. You don't know. So if you're watching our series, we're going to be giving away prizes, or some people are going to get products, some people are going to get services, so like scans and products that we offer, products that some of my plethora of my friends have donated to say, help, hey, we want to help nurture your November as well. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're like speaking and engaging, right? So today's topic or topic of this video is how being a people pleaser leads to chronic illness. So I want to say that my name is Sequoia and I'm a recovering people pleaser. Hi, Sequoia. I think that's how this goes when you're like in a addiction like situation, right? And so it is a thing, and many people do it and they don't realize it. But it is a true thing about being a people pleaser. So being a people pleaser is someone who you do things and make your decisions based off of what others are gonna do. So you hear people say, "Well, yeah, I care about what people think." I'm gonna make my decisions, my lifestyle decisions based off what my parents think or what my family thinks, and I can't make a move without getting approval of others. When people ask me to do stuff, I always say yes. So these are things that are, if you're wondering if you're falling in this people pleasing boat, right? And so I don't live my full life because I'm concerned about somebody saying something about me doing this. Sometimes because of my religion or because of my faith or because of my family or because of my origin, I can't do these things because someone is going to say something. I have to be everything to everybody. These are things that people who are people pleasers actually deal with a lot. And so again, I would say like, hi, my name is Sequoia, and I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I will say that as much as I am type A OCD, you hear me talk about this all the time. Type A OCD, like Aries, pragmatic. There's usually no gray with me. It's either black or white. Mom of two, like those type of things are things about me. Roles I play, there are things about me. But a lot of times when I was coming up, and I don't know if this because somebody told me it could be because of birth order. Usually, sometimes when you're the first child, then like the oldest, you tend to be more of a people pleaser because you want to please the parents. You're the first one or whatever. Then as a kid, they're harder on you. This type of stuff. The expectation is on you. Just like in most families, if you're the first son, it's a little bit harder because the legacy stuff of it. Then as each son goes on, each child comes on, parents lose. They get more overwhelmed and all this kind of good jazz. So I've heard it been explained that usually it is a firstborn type of thing, but that's not true because I have friends who are like the second and the third and the fourth child that I don't know how true that is. They're still like people pleasers. And so what we don't realize is that when we are being people pleasers, and the one thing I did not realize either was that I was losing my voice. And it wasn't really until I started having doing like Reiki and chakra work and root work on myself about the core energies and things that was happening to my body energetically that it was affecting my relationships in certain ways that it was like, okay, well, I can't really be myself because of somebody imposed a religion belief, or because my mom is going to say this, or my friends and family, the community are going to say this. It holds you up from different things. And so you're not living the life that you really want to lead because you're too busy trying to please everybody else that you don't even get to know yourself. The self-identity part is usually taken out for a lot of people who are people pleasers because they don't understand the concept of a lot of your decisions are always waiting about somebody else. It can't never be a conversation between you, the universe, you and the God. It can't ever be those things. It always has to be what someone else thinks is right. And so for years, I can say now, like, the reason why I got married at 21 was because, okay, that's the right thing to do because of religious things, and it's better to be better to like be married than to be talking about fornicating, all that type of stuff. And so even like how long I stayed in my marriage, okay, that's one type of situation. Career paths that I chose, not saying things that I needed to say to everyone, not just my parents, not just like my siblings or my friends or my spouse, or I wasn't even saying the things that I need to say to myself because I was too busy pleasing other people. Oh, this person is gonna be mad. This thing is gonna be this person is not going to talk to me anymore. Like and it's a difference between saying like giving my opinion, because people know me. I'm like, now I don't bulk at saying what I need to say. I just know not to say those and different things. Now sometimes people will catch me in this like Phoenix mode, and I'm like, I just don't give a care. But usually it's all about doing an attack or being stern, and people who are in my circle know that about me. If I say something, I'm saying it with love, and it's because I care. I'm going to say it the way it needs to be said. And the way that I think you need to hear it. And so that was just over time of being able to grow. But when I was a people pleaser, I did a lot of things that I may not would have done, or I didn't do stuff because of what other people thought. It's certain experiences that I look back over my life and I'm like, dang, if I would have just did this or did this. And it's not necessarily a level of regret, because you have to go through that process and learn that life is life, and there's seasons to everything and there's lessons to be learned. But if I could go back and tell that, oh, Sequoia, it would be like, okay, there are certain things that you're doing. You're not living your full life because you're concerned about somebody. It could be something as small as you want to relocate to somewhere else. You want to not be in this relationship. You want to start doing stuff healthy. You want to start doing this. You want to experience this. And you don't do it because you're concerned about what someone else is going to say. Meanwhile, they're living their life. When it's time for them to say something to you, they say it. When it's time for them to do whatever, to ask you to do something, a lot of times when you're doing people pleasing too, you're doing stuff. Like, so every time someone, like I said with the description, every time someone comes to ask you to do something, you're like, yes. Okay, you come do this with the church? Yes. Can you come help me with this type of stuff? Yes. Can you come over here and do this? Yes. Are you available to help me do this? Yes. It's always yes. Yes, it's yes. And your plate is piling up like this, and that person has less work to do because you took off a piece. Then they asked somebody else and they took off a piece of that plate. People who are like that, they don't have the cares of the world, the weight on their shoulders, right? Because they're not worried about pleasing people. They're not concerned. And then how you know is those type of people is that the second that you ask them for something, or the second you say no, all hell breaks loose. The whole situation, oh, you never did anything for me, or I know you to tell me no. I can't believe, or you make a decision to say, hey, I'm not going to make that decision based off you. I can't believe you're doing this. You're disgracing our family, or I can't believe you're going to do that. What are people going to think? That shows you the mindset of people that you have been pleasing them the whole time. And they feel like they have direct say in what you're doing in your life. I said it yesterday in the video from yesterday. One of the best books that I read, it was by Lisa Turkey. It's called The Best Yes. Sometimes the best yes that you could give people is a no. And sometimes the best yes you give yourself is a no. No, don't continue to do these things. No, do not continue to lead that lifestyle. And some people even in business. And I will say this, and it's gonna go to our next topic this afternoon. But sometimes I understand when we're married. I understand that when we're partnered up, when you two people become one. I understand that. I understand that when you leave, you get married, or certain relationships and certain friendships. But when you have a vision and burning and a calling on your life that you are supposed to be doing certain stuff, and you can't do that because other people, it's time to check the other thing. If you're supposed to be doing something, and the reason why you're not living, some people are supposed to be entrepreneurs. Some people right now, you're being told to go back to school. You're being told that you should be doing this trade. You're being told that you should lead this way. You're being told that you should open your mouth and speak this. You're being told that you should go down this path. And the reason why you don't is because the number one reason is because you're people pleasing someone else. If I stop doing this, everybody else is going to say that. If I start to go this way, everybody going to have something to say. I won't have the support. It won't. They're gonna tell me it doesn't work out. Will start being like me. For me being a recovering people pleaser, I stopped telling people stuff. The next thing they knew, I was doing it. I was starting a business. I was getting a divorce. I was doing what I wanted to do, because when I started informing people from then on, it was already done. So now people are like, oh, when she tell us something, it's already done. And it's not a matter about being secret because you're like, oh, I don't want to steal my deal, or I don't want to be in my business. It was all about the point that I was not asking for your opinion. I was informing you. So I move with certain people in that way. When I tell them, it's not like, oh, girl, I wouldn't do that. Or maybe you should think. I'm sorry, I wasn't asking for the opinion. I was informing you of the decision. There's a difference. Me telling you and informing you of something is totally different than me saying, hey, you know what, I'm having this idea, I think I want to do this, or I'm having these feelings, I think I want to go here, or something is wrong, da-da-da. Those are two different situations. And so chronically, like the topic says, how people please, it leads to your body chronically being ill. It's over time you're killing yourself. Yes, being a people pleaser leads to chronic illness. It's literally killing you. And some of the reasons why and how that happens is because, one, it creates burnout, anxiety, and depression. It creates burnout, anxiety, and depression. Some of you are stressed out, burnt out, and anxious about every little thing that you do. Or are you doing enough? Or were you being enough? Are you worthy enough? Am I being the person they want me to be? So bad, so hard, that you now have anxiety because you're fearful about what's going to come. You burnt out because you have so much stuff on your plate, or you recluse back and you're depressed because you're being a people pleaser. And that leads to chronic illness. Not something acute that just happened like I broke my arm. Over time, it's building up and causing the chronic issues. So the second thing is that which leads from the first one, is how it creates chronic illness is that stress levels are increased, and they usually go unnoticed. So I'm all about the adrenals, how especially the stress management, adrenal fatigue, and adrenal insufficiency. And so one of the main things that people will tell me is that they have been, like, it's not something that had just started with them being fatigued, or them having brain fog, or them being anxious, or the hormones being out of whack, or their mood swings, or the blood sugar, or all those things that the adrenals do. It's not nothing new. It's been like that. Oh, I've been like this for 10 years, and it's just been the normal. I just adapted to it. It became the new norm. And so all the while, your system is being affected. And so those things that are stressors to you is causing your organ systems to be affected. Because if your adrenals are affected, you know your liver and your kidney and your gallbladder and your gut health. And then your gut is the second brain. So you know if that brain is affected, the brain up here is affected. And so those things trickle down. And most of the time it goes unnoticed because you're too busy worried about here. You don't center yourself and come focusing on you as a person. You're never the priority. So you still focus on everything else. And most of the time it goes unnoticed. You're not noticing that you haven't had good sleep in 2 or 3 weeks, a month, a year. And as my client told me the other day, about 18 years. Right? And so those things lead up over time, causing stuff to be chronically wrong. You'll be like, hey, I got a cold, and I don't know why every time I get this cold, I get a cold every 5 minutes. My son, I'm just not feeling well. I never feel well. When was the last time you felt good? Well, I really can't pinpoint the last time I'm always running and going and keeping up with here and keeping up with the Joneses there, and I just don't know why I don't feel good. Right? Because it's chronically building up. And one of the signs that I see commonly in a lot of people is that they are too busy worried about pleasing other people. And it's different people. It could be the parents. I've seen people who was too busy trying to please their kids and try to be their friends so hard that it's killing them. So it's not just like one thing. It's so busy trying to please the spouse or so busy trying to please the employer, so that it's killing them. So it's everybody else but you. That's the how the easiest way to say that. People pleasing, not you. So the third way is how people pleasing can be lead to chronic illness is because self care is put on the back burner. I just said this. If you're ignoring yourself about the things that go unnoticed, you're not focused. You're so focused on everything else, all those roles, and so that's why you'll see people. Oh, who am I? Who are you? They immediately start ask people, well, who are you? They give their name and they immediately start listing roles that they play. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a doctor. I'm a so and so. I'm a teacher. They start listing those roles about what they do. Oh, I do this and I attend this church and I'm gonna do such at the church. And they start listing. I'm a sister. They list off all the roles that they have. Roles. And the reason, and those is not to say that those roles are not important, but I am still Sequoia without being a mom. I'm still Sequoia without being somebody's wife. I'm still Sequoia without having a business. Without all those things. So take all those things away. Who are you still? Who are you really? And the average person can answer that. Right? I'm like, listen, I'm a type A, OCD, Aries. Like, I like these things, I like these things, I like these things, I like this, and this is that person I am. And sometimes I could be that B, and sometimes I could be loving and caring. And when I don't say, like, I can have a whole conversation about myself now as a recovered people pleaser. Before I would have told you about everybody else. And then you were like, but yeah, I asked about who are you? Like, and it's most of the time it's because you don't know. Because you never took the time to worry about self-care. That's why, to me, as part of your stress management, you have to have self-care to focus on you. This is why I say, hey, have date night with yourself. This is why I say, hey, have quiet time with yourself. This is why I say, do practice mindful meditation. All those things practice coming together makes it about you. I'm making it center the zone if I'm doing EMT tapping. It's about me. It ain't. I'm not tapping nobody else. I'm not being mindful about nobody else. I'm not being present with nobody else but myself. And so because we're so busy putting out all this energy everywhere else, we become the back burner. We become the self-care becomes the back burner. And then you don't even have self-identity, self-awareness, having a clue. And then you wonder why you wake up and some people don't find out till they're in that hospital bed. Or something crazy happens and you're like, man, I spent my whole life like doing other people's stuff, doing other people and being what other people wanted me to be. So that leads to chronic illness. Self-care leads to chronic illness. Not having self-care leads to chronic illness. The next thing is that it affects the other areas of your wellness too. So you say, well, how can me being a people pleaser like affect my wellness? Like there are 8 areas of wellness, and by you being a people pleaser, it leads to other things that are not just physical. Like I said, the emotional standpoint. What about your environment? Sometimes you're in an environment and situations and people, places, and things that you shouldn't be because you're people pleasing. What about finances? How many people are stuck in financial ruts because their kids want to call and they co-signing for loans? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing to do. But you see, that's where we talk about stress. Is it a good stress or a bad stress or a have to do stress, right? But there are people who are like going into the grave debt because of kids that are not even appreciative. Some of them are. I'm not gonna say like, oh, my kid not appreciative or whatever, but that is a stressor to the body. Some people are going into debt trying to please and keep up with the Joneses with the spouse and doing all this kind of stuff. And I want to do this a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with that because I have a Aquarian child that's coming up in this world that's teaching me like, girl, like I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna be a beast. I'm gonna look good for me. And I'm like, okay, that's the only way you better worry about looking good. Like, it's not about what somebody else gonna think or whatever. It makes her. It's the self-confidence for her. And so we don't realize that sometimes doing that type of stuff, it affects those things. So how are you being affected financially? How is your environment being affected? How's your spiritual walk being affected? Some people have beliefs about certain things. Do you know, like when people say, oh, somebody's racist, and you are not born a racist, you were raised a racist. They're put into an environment where somebody taught them that. Or spiritually, I believe this because I went to church and I heard this my whole life, but there's something about that just don't sound right. You're pigeonholed and you're tied down to different things because that's what you were taught, and so you're people pleasing, so you're going along with it. How's that affecting you spiritually? Physically, we know that it kills. Like, that's what the chronic illness is gonna start coming up. That's what all that stuff gonna come up. Your occupation. Did you go to school to go to college because someone told you that you should do something that was the right thing to do? Did you make a career move because that's what the latest craze was, and that's what your parents told you to do, or what your grandparents told you to do, or what the community said you should do, or what you just felt was going to be beneficial because you were pleasing everybody else? I know several people like that, and they really wanted to do something else, but they went this path because that's what their parents said they had to do. So those other areas of wellness get affected by you being a people pleaser, and no one wins in the end because you become the untrue person, you become the untrue self, and you should have start having resentment. Like, I'll do scans of people that have resentment, bitterness, and you click on it, it's like, oh, relationship with mother, relationship with father, right? And so you're wondering why this happens. You're wondering why it keeps coming up, and it's unresolved issues. And then you become regretful. Man, I wish I would have went to this college and had this experience. I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. One of the main reasons why I went into the military, into the reserve, and now I don't regret it because some of the benefits and perks that come out of that. So yeah, I'm not mad. But one of the main reasons is because I didn't want to put the financial stress on my mom to go pay for college. But in my heart of hearts, I wanted to have that college experience. But I was like, man, my mom not gonna be able to afford it. My mom said she's not gonna be able to do it. And so having that finance, so me people pleasing instead of trying to figure out a way to live the path I wanted to, I was like, man, this is the easiest way to do it. Let me go into the military. They're gonna get money, this and this. End up going and getting hurt and all the whole nother story. But one of the main reasons that made that decision for me was because I wanted to please somebody else and have a certain lifestyle because I knew I needed to do it, right? And so those things, they lead us into that way. So a lot of times when you're dealing with being a people pleaser, you have to go to that inner child. That didn't just start, like, most people don't start people pleasing when they were like 35, 40. That's usually rare. You grow up in that way, and you come up in that way. You've been doing it. So you have to go back and deal with a lot of that stuff about yourself. Because if you don't, it leads to chronic illness. It leads to psychological issues. It leads to the resentment, regret. You start wondering why when somebody says something to you, like, oh, what she said, it made my skin crawl. Or I'm just so tired of doing this. Or you'll start, even like on a spiritual walk for me, I started noticing, like, I would go to church and I would like, and it wasn't about me and the Lord. It was about me and surrounded by certain people because that's what people thought I should be. That every Sunday I should be in somebody's church house. That every Sunday I should be doing this. Every time they had a call, I should be on the call. Every meeting, I should be at the meeting. That's people pleasing. Not to say that you shouldn't do those things if that's meant for you to do it. But at that same time, my house was falling apart. But I was too busy worried about doing certain stuff. But meanwhile, everything around me was crumbling. So at the end, which one was more important? When I go talk to the Father and say, okay, well, universe, God, Lord, something like this don't make sense. You said you're not the author of confusion, and there's confusion here, right? So those things lead to you chronically being ill, and that's why I say I'm a recovering people pleaser because it takes work. This was more about lending the things about doing that, and so we'll talk about later about the ways that you can help not being a people pleaser. But one of the main thing is the acceptance of it. I don't think years ago I would have been able to say, hey, I'm a people pleaser, I'm a recovering people pleaser, but now I'm like, I'm a recovering people pleaser. I used to live my life based off what people were going to think. I would post certain stuff on things or not post certain things. I would let people know about certain things or not let them know about certain things because I was too busy pleasing them and worrying about what they were going to think. Now I'm like, I really don't care. I really don't care what you're going to say or what you're going to do, and go from there, right? And so I really didn't, those are the things that started as I started channeling and being more self-aware and being more and doing more self-care. A lot of that stuff helped to evolve and doing the work to heal from those things that caused me to be a people pleaser. Right. So wanted to come and talk to you guys, share some of those self experiences, do the prompt about those different things. Again, if you guys have questions or anything that you want us to address or talk about, then please do message us because again, it could be a topic of one of our actual videos. And so if you're watching, if you're just tuning in, please go back to the beginning as we're talking about the things that how being a people pleaser leads to chronic illness and why it's important that you not be one. All right. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is video 2 of 30. So, the 30 lives in 30 days. And so we're catching up because technically today is the third. We'll do the third this afternoon with a new prompt with a new topic. Again, if you're watching live, make sure you go through and say, hey, if you're watching replay, put hashtag replay. And if this information resonates with you guys, then be sure to hit that share button. You want to make sure that you're engaging because we're going to pull names and pull people who are engaging on the actual lives to win prizes, giveaways, consults with us, and stuff like that. So you definitely want to do that because this month we're nurturing our community in November and super excited about sharing these different things. So like leave your information, your feedback. What do you think about this? What do you think about being a people pleaser? Is it good? Is it bad? Do you think it leads to chronic illness? Do you think it really is not a big deal? Let me know your thoughts. And so leave them in a comment below and we'll definitely respond and get back to you soon. Remember, my name is Sequoia Ashe Taylor. I hope you guys have an amazing day. And remember, Ashe, I have the power to change and make things happen, and so do you. Bye bye.